everyone, I am CIQ, and welcome to part 4 of Tegami, also known as The Letter. Last time when we left off, something really weird supernatural kind of happened. If you want to know what happened, you should check out the first 3 parts. It's all recorded in one go, so it's, I guess, a little easier to watch than if it's recorded separately. Now anyways, let's continue where we left off, why don't we? Starting off with some dotting. Wow, so it's no ordinary kid I was dealing with here. Quick to read into the hearts of others, and clear in thought and purpose. Or was I just tooting my own horn? I turned back to Takahiro and asked lightly, well, enough of that. How about you? Except I really wanted to know. About how he felt about his mom, about how he felt about his dad. And so I waited. Well, he said, I've got a mom and a dad. He trailed off of here, an expression close to sadness flitting across a small face. That expression broke my heart. So I quickly asked, hey, something the matter? Yeah, he managed. Well, reality, it's just me and Mom. See, Dad's never at home. I mean, for crying out loud, he's not even at home on weekends. And you know what? I don't remember the last time he took us out on a vacation, because he never has. I was afraid of this, because I was exactly the same. I guess one thing hasn't changed over time then. I had almost no memories of my old man, good or bad, so I waited for him to speak on. I didn't have to wait long, but still, I love Dad. God damn it. Getting the fucking chills out here. I don't know if you can see that. Gosh darn it. This story is really touching. See, there's always a note on my desk when I wake up. Like a post-it, you know. He always writes me something. Stay healthy, or how are your studies, or be good to your mother, stuff like that. Not much, huh? No, actually, it's plenty. He does it every morning without fail. And so I know how much he's thinking of me every day. And I thought, only a kid would say such a thing. Only a kid would say such a thing, yeah. But only a kid could make me remember his warmth, his gentleness of his spirit, my old man, my father. Why did it take me so long? I should have known better. Now there was no way we'd meet again. This wasn't supposed to be happening, was it? Why now, of all times? This wasn't fair. This just wasn't fair. Just like when I carried Mama on my back. Why didn't I ever grasp anything until it was too late? Why didn't I ever grasp anything until all that was left was silent regret? My poor parents. Hey, Takahiro piped up. You okay, big guy? The next thing I saw was his concerned face right in front of mine. Well, no, I couldn't really see him that clearly. Too many tears in my eyes. So instead I said, there's still enough time, right? Huh? The little guy replied. Yeah, I continued. Would you mind introducing me to your dad? His eyes widened a bit at this, but a moment later he flashed me a dazzling smile and said, Sure, absolutely. He might be late from work, though. Then I'll just have to stay for a few days, huh? I shot back. Little guy grinned, gave me a thumbs up, and hollered, Rock on! I burst out laughing, and a moment later, so did he. I'm almost crying. I am honestly almost crying right now. Wow. It's very, very touching. Our laughter was huge, and the summer sky was huger still. The echoes soared up higher and higher until they disappeared altogether. Down here on this earth, it was the beginning of the sunset, and our shadows kept us company as we walked. Now I get it, I said to myself. Now I know why I'm here. Time for me to meet my old man face to face, and to tell him just once, thank you for having been my father. The dying sun blazed overhead, coloring the sky with explosions of red and orange. We were right next to Takahiro's house now. I stopped at the doorway and took a moment to look around. It was like nothing ever changed. I knew this landscape by heart. How the mountains reached toward the sky, how the sky soared high and laughed, how the sunset colors flooded into the gaps where the hills met the air. Hallowed ground, all of it. Hey, big guy, Takahiro urged. Don't just stand around. Come in, come in. I snapped out of space cadet mode and managed to smile. I walked through the door and whispered, Tadaima. A familiar smell wafted past my nostrils. Croquets for dinner, huh? Little guy complained mightily, but the expression on his face made it clear he was really quite happy about the menu. Then she noticed me standing there. Oh, Takahiro, you've brought a guest, she asked gently. Nice to meet you, ma'am. My name's Takahiro Watanabe. She laughed. Why, you and my son share a name. Fancy that. Are you friends? I smiled back. I guess so, though to be honest, we just met today. Why was I feeling so shy? She didn't seem suspicious of me at all. Instead, she said, My, it's so late already. Tell me, do you have any plans for tonight? I knew what she was going to say next, something along the lines of, why not stay the night? I'd be pleased if you could, for sure. No, not particularly, I said. Well, it was an honest answer. Why not stay the night, she responded without a missing beat. I'd be pleased if you could. I snickered to myself. Bullseye! Do I get a prize for this? Here you go, she said cheerfully, and placed her croquet in the palm of my outstretched hand. I almost jumped out of my skin. Actually, it's not. The croquet was pleasantly warm, not scalding hot, and neatly wrapped in wax paper. I took a bite, and almost spat it out when Takahiro exclaimed, Yummy! I managed after I'd swallowed, of course, never talk with your mouth full. But, you haven't taken a bite yet. So what? He shot back. It's still yummy. Mom just smiled again. Now, we've got plenty, so don't be fighting now, boys. Mom, that's not quite the point. That didn't really, matter, though. I loved Mom when she got like this. Sure, she was so much younger, close to my age even, but you couldn't find that brand of warmth and gentleness anywhere else on this earth. And I loved it when she smiled, as she was smiling now. I burped right there. Yes, I was starting to feel like an archaeologist, uncovering a memory here, the outline of a feeling there, as I traveled through this strange and beautiful world. There wasn't much I could claim to understand anymore, but one thing was clear. If there was anything good and pure inside me, it was to be found right here. We talked a lot over dinner, the three of us. She kept asking me questions, so I kept answering them, totally different from my banter with Takahiro earlier today. About whether it was hard living alone, or about whether I had enough money, or about my part-time job, or about my studies, or about whether I was getting enough sleep. Weird, wasn't it? The things where she worried about never changed. Takahiro went to bed at 9. After that, the house grew peaceful and still. But a few hours later at 11, I heard someone opening and closing the front door. Honey, I'm home. I heard a man's voice call out. I guess in Japanese that would be Anata Tadaima, or Tadaima Anata, or something similar. And I heard Mom say in reply, Okaeri nasai. His voice was strong, and it sounded a lot like mine. Man, talk about complicated. I heard footsteps, first in the corridor, then coming closer and closer to me, and for some reason my heart started beating faster. He came into view. He'd taken his jacket off and was carrying it in one hand. He'd loosened his necktie, but his shirt was still neatly tucked into his pants. His eyes widened when he saw me for the first time. Then with a, well, what have we here? He walked over to where I was standing and sat next to me. No rush on dinner, he called out to Mom, before turning to me and saying, Good to see you. Nice to meet you, rather. I'm Takahiro's dad. The name's Ichigi. Such a kind voice from such a tired man, and one that set me all on edge. I hesitated for a second, then I managed, nice to meet you. I'm Takahiro Watanabe. Father had an odd look on his face. I had no idea what was going through his head at that moment. I see, he muttered softly. He turned his gaze on me again, as gently as ever. As I said before, I had no idea what was going through his head, but it didn't take a genius to see that something was bothering him. Now, he said after a short silence, I don't really know where I'm going with this, but mind if I ask you something? Sure. Go ahead, I stammered back. Do you, by any chance, happen to be my son? From the future? I was rendered totally speechless. I mean, who would ever believe such a thing? It happened in comic books or in dreams. Apparently father here would... And apparently he'd accept this. And me, with open arms. My God. I finally managed... I think so. I gave him a weak smile. He just nodded and said, "Okay, I understand." We had a few drinks together, munched on some snacks. We did a bunch of stuff, I guess. But mainly we talked. Talked about what I was up to in the present, about what his work was like, about little guy, about mom. Before long, father mentioned that he'd have to return to work soon. Man, he'd just come home. Whoa, he said with a smile. I've stayed longer than usual. Good to have guests every once in a while. Now I could see why little guy never saw father in the flesh. Father was a policeman. Yeah. I'd always known that on an intellectual level, but I'd never really understood what that entailed up until today. And while I still didn't totally get it, it was obvious that he felt called to his line of work, even if it meant risking his life from time to time. At least those were his words. What a busy man, I muttered. The house was silent now. Mom was obviously asleep. But before long I heard a noise at the door. I went to look, and to my surprise it was father. Something wrong? I asked. Yeah, he replied. I almost forgot. Such a kind smile in his face. Father mentioned for me to follow him, and then silently made his way into little guy's room. And then he took a scrap of paper out of his pocket. It had something written on it. Be nice to big guy. A memo pad. Notes. Handwriting. Wait a second. He'd do this every day without fail for me. Some new pearl of wisdom every morning. I remembered now. Father looked back at me and said, "You're a lot like I was when I was your age. Straightforward, easy to read. Can't tell a lie. Tough, isn't it?" The gentle smile was back on his face. Father looked forward into the darkness toward the slumbering little guy, and then he started to recite the words that I knew by heart. I hate the word cute, but I love the word interesting. I hate when you open up with your diary and write, "It was so hot today that..." But I love the season itself. I hate loud noises, but when their voice is raised in heated argument, I don't mind them so much. I hate those who tear you down with their words and actions, but I love those who quietly build you up even though you don't deserve it. I hate being called a simpleton, but I'd rather be a simpleton than someone who uses his God-given talents to take advantage of others. I hate working hard, but I hate laziness so much more than that. I hate it when you blame others for your failings, but I love it when you keep moving forward no matter what. These are my words of love to you. But what was that? I managed after I picked up my jaw from the beginning. He grinned and replied, "My manifesto, of course. Pretty cool, isn't it?" "Yeah," I said, still stunned. "See, I write something for him every day." He pointed to little guy and explained, "So I get lots of practice writing." Father, to be honest, you don't have much literary talent. That isn't what blows me away. It's that you just recited the contents of your letter to me. But I don't want literary talent or anything like that. It doesn't matter. Those are your words. That's enough for me. Father left for good after that. Better living through hectic living, I guess. After I saw Father off at the door, I stayed out for a while, looking up to the sky. The world was awash in silver light reflecting from high above, and the moon shone on and on as if such an act would fill the universe with a sense of obligation. Morning came. The third morning I'd seen since I'd come back home to the countryside, and the second morning I'd seen since I'd come back to the past. Question mark. Why did I get this feeling that as busy as Father was, I was the one in the real bind here? The door opened. No change of clothes, so I was about ready for another action-packed day in the past, as I was. But Mom stuck her head in, smiled, and said, "Oh, I'll wash your clothes for you, so give them to me when you can, okay?" Before I even managed to finish my sentence, little guy popped out of nowhere with something in his hands. "Ta-da!" he yelled. Father's clothing. "Hey, big guy," little guy continued with a smile. "Change into these, what do you say?" Oh, thanks a lot, I accepted with a smile, and then I remembered something from earlier this morning. Be nice to big guy. Everything makes sense now. So after they left, I washed up and changed. Okay, so... God! I want to cry! We're going to end the fourth part of Tegami right here. If you enjoyed it anywhere throughout, make sure to leave a like and comment down below if you want to see me do more of these things. We are going to continue right after this, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Basically what happened is we are back in the past, and we talk with our father, and he knows we're his kid from the future, which is good, I guess, and I almost cried like 3 or 4 times. Such a wuss. Anyways, this was Tegami, and I'm Takahiro, and I'm signing off. Hope to see you guys in the next video I'm going to make, which is probably Tegami too. Anyways, I'll see you guys later. Have a great day. Bye-bye.